And we're live. It's Tom Cassidy and Mark Berger in the house. This is the first of the Architects Create Their Own 13x4 programs. And Mark is going to be talking us through this while I actually finish off doing some of the graphics. The beauty of having the app in the future will be that it'll do all this kind of thing for us, and we'll just be able to plumb it into our phone and boof, produce a beautiful colored wheel with all the different color swatches and all that sort of stuff, however many domains we like. But for now, I'm doing this, Mark's guiding me through, and because I'm a bit sort of arty, I'm doing some of the graphics. So Mark, why don't you just tell us a little bit about this and make sure you're talking me through how I'm doing it.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I just want to say I'm very honored to be doing this, and it's quite amazing how I talked with Tom a long time ago, talking about doing something with recovery, and now here I am, for just a short period of time, actually putting this together. And I just want to say that the recovery wheel that I'm putting together right here with Tom over here addresses the three key elements that deal with recovery. And as we go along the wheel, the first aspect that we're talking about here is body, which is the physical. And as you can see from what I put in over here, I have about 4 quadrants for each particular aspect to be addressed to act as reinforcement in terms of recovery. And the recovery cycle basically, because in addiction affects the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. And so the first thing that we want to address is the physical or the body. And the first week focus, and I'll go into that later, is basically identification. And the ability to identify yourself and that which you're addicted to. In recovery, in addiction, we give our power away to our addiction. So the addiction can be you, or can be something else. It can be something separate from you. It doesn't really, matter what it is. What really is important with identification is that you identify the addiction. So if you identify yourself as being the addict, that's totally fine. But the thing is that with identification is that it's really a big stepping stone in terms of change. Because the point is to identify that which we're powerless over, and to put a label on it. And for a lot of people, it's easy to identify themselves as being the addict. And as you go along the wheel and go along the recovery wheel, you'll be able to see different aspects, and it's going to address different aspects of the addiction cycle and in terms of recovery. So, in the following weeks, we go through the power is you, and then we go into making a choice, and then finally the script. So these are all issues that deal with the physical aspects of addiction. And then in the bottom quadrant we have the mind, and these deal with stuff that deals in the mind. So we can divulge the script, willingness, humility, and the effect on others. So these are all stuff that deal with the mind and how the mind is an addiction. And then the last part of the quadrant, the wheel, is the soul. So we have burying the hatchet, vigilance, connecting with the Creator and being an example, and finally, gratitude. Because I think that gratitude is at the center and the core of recovery. Being grateful. And being grateful is a huge antidote for addiction. Because addiction it creates a gap in the soul. And we're addicted to something because we're missing something. But if we've gone through the wheel, the end result will be a feeling of gratitude and a sense of inner peace. And, so the wheel is complete. And Tom, it looks great, So we do have some, algorithms that we're going to add in here. So for week 1, it would be, yourself, because like one thing that came up is that, there's a you inside of you, and that you is yourself. So the self is greater than the addiction. And
right. Go on.
So yourself, like you, the you that you are, is greater than that what you're addicted to. And also, the thing about addiction is that if you're addicted to anything, like in my case, I'm an alcoholic. So my alcoholism really took all my power, and it basically, made alcohol the center of everything. And when I became really hooked on alcohol and I was drinking, I isolated from people. The alcoholism was my world. And a lot of people that are suffering from addiction, they isolate. And you become an I. And you become the addict or the alcoholic. That's your whole entire world. And the beauty about identification, and I'll go into this more, is the fact that actually identification is like freedom, because you identify. One of the biggest things about the addiction is that it hides itself in denial. And denial, it doesn't want to be recognized. It doesn't want you to recognize the addiction, because a lot of people are alcoholics or addicts, but they refuse to identify themselves as being that or having that. They think that they're fine, But as you get more sucked into the addiction, it becomes like it takes all your power and everything like that. And, in identification, you could see the alcoholism or the addiction. You identify it and you focus on it. And the I becomes we, because what you're doing is that I'm an alcoholic, or I identify the fact that I have an addiction, but I don't need to give all my power to that. I don't need to give all my power and isolate myself from everybody. I see that it's there. I'm aware of it, and that's what we want to do. We want to identify, what are we giving our power to? What is making our lives unmanageable? What is it? It's the addiction, and by having that, actually, you're like taking yourself out of isolation, and you could connect with others. You could say, I don't need to hide myself in my addiction. I'm labeling it, and that's the whole entire thing. Is you just want to be, really aware of that which is really taking your power away, and by doing that, it brings up like a sense of hope, like wow, okay. And I could reach out to others. I could connect with others. I don't need to give all my power over to my addiction. And I think that looks really good, Tom. I really appreciate that. And basically, there's a I want to I like to do a launch where I could go more in details about the weekly focuses and stuff like that. And that's what we'll be airing out. It's doing so each week. I will give a overview about what each week means. We're just doing an intro here, right, Tom?
Yeah, that's right. Just to bring it into the context, the idea of this call is to show people as an example of Mark. He's already a little bit further down the road than a lot of people, And this is relatively how easy it is to put together a 13 by 4 program. But of course, Mark, you've almost jumped forward straight into it because you've got a lot of experience with dealing with recovery, and this 12-step program of the AA and all that sort of stuff. But also, this is the problem. I mean, in terms of the whole overview, what we're doing in the Architects program is that find the hardest problem that you feel qualified to solve, and qualified to solve encompasses 4 things. You've got the awareness that there is a problem, that no one else seems to be coming up with something that really works. You're actually pretty sure that you've got wisdom of a workable solution. It's something that you've seen work, you've applied it yourself, you're interested in doing something about it, you're willing to take action and actually turn that into a program and to lead and to head it up, and finally you're actually able to build it into a program which isn't personality dependent. It doesn't depend on you. It's part of say a 13 by 4, it's a reasonability or that type of program. It goes into a wheel and it can run for everybody and anybody. So you've kind of, with your tremendous experience, why don't you kind of skip back a little bit and say that this will be its own program, and Mark, if anyone is interested in this, Mark will be coaching people through it the same way as I do with my programs. But for people who are setting up their own, immediately they're looking at you, Mark, and thinking, I could never be like Mark, because he's just gone ahead and done it. So why don't you tell people, let's go back a little bit to why this is the hardest problem that you feel qualified to solve, that fits in with your kind of your awareness, your wisdom, your willingness, and also your ability.
Well, that's a good point, Tom. And first of all, I think I have a lot of experience in this. I think this is my whole entire life, and so I've been addicted pretty much since I can remember. And if the whole thing about finding something, a problem that's hard to solve or whatever, if you look online and just look up recovery or 12 steps, there are literally tons of groups for 12 steps. There's Overeaters Anonymous, there's Gamblers Anonymous, there's Sex Anonymous, there's Love Anonymous, there's Cocaine Anonymous, there's Marijuana Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous. There's Anonymous of pretty much everything. And the big thing is it's anonymous, but we're all us, So the whole thing is that I see that addiction is a big issue in society. People are addicted to internet. They're addicted to porn. They're addicted to so many things. And it's a problem. We give our power away to so many things. We act in certain ways. And the thing is that, and one thing that and you notice from my wheel, is that I don't have any reference to God. And I'm not saying that, not to believe in God or whatever, but a lot of people, when they hear the word God or whatever, they turn around, they close the door. And the whole thing is that, recovery is a spiritually based thing. It's about spirituality. It's about connecting with your inner self, the you that's inside of you. It's about gaining that power. And I've suffered from different addictions and different sources. And the whole thing is that every program out there in recovery addresses the same 12 principles, the 12 steps, every single one. You don't need to. What's the one thing this is out there, and I didn't need to reinvent anything. I just had to make my own. I just made it easy because I'm reading, I'm listening to the chapters for Sons of Getting Rich, and one of the things that they talk about in chapter 1 is that you don't have to work on the competitive plane. You could work on a creative plane, and there's plenty for all. So there's plenty of programs for recovery out there. I'm not stepping on anybody's toes. I'm not infringing anything. I'm benefiting. I'm bringing things that's already out there to more people so they can benefit. Because a lot of people are afraid to go to a meeting. A lot of people don't want to be seen in a meeting. A lot of people go to a meeting and they walk out because they see God. It's all over there, or whatever. I'm not saying anything bad about God, but the point of the matter is that there is a big movement in my eyes for recovery because a lot of people are reaching out for it. I see, like down here, like where I live in South Florida, they call it the recovery capital of the country because of the weather. So we have all this influx of people coming from the country to get recovery, and not everyone gets it, but I see the numbers increase year after year. More and more people are coming for recovery. So there is a big demand for recovery, and I really feel qualified for this because I've been doing it for so long. And I've helped people, by sharing at meetings, by going to meetings, but by being present. And I feel that there's such a need for it that a lot of people can benefit in more of a community like we have in the reasonable communities,
Yeah, absolutely.
It could be anonymous, right? People just have the first name or whatever, or people can share as much as they want. But the whole point of the matter is that for me, it just feels natural to me, and I really feel like this is my purpose. Like I really feel this is part of my calling is helping other people recover. And I've been in Sex Love Addicts Anonymous. I've been in Al-Anon. I've been Codependency Anonymous. I've been in Narcotics Anonymous, and I've been in Alcoholics Anonymous. I have 5 right there. So I've been in different.
So you feel qualified. I get that. And what makes I think you're bang on the money with that. But what makes you? How are you going to explain to people the wisdom behind your way of doing it, which I think is evident, is very clear. But what are you going to say? Is that okay? What makes you think your way will be better or more successful or have a higher success rate than the existing programs? Or what will you do that they won't maybe do?
Well, I believe because I've been putting a lot of thought into this, and I've been putting a lot of thought into what's worked for me and what's worked for others that I work with. Because there's people that I work with that have been sober for a long time. And I believe from what I've put together and from the wheel is, number one is the reinforcement of it. Because I believe if we could take all these principles, because in the program you go through this, like you go through the steps and they go on a shelf, right? And a lot of times if your sponsor isn't good enough or whatever, because I've been there, I did my steps once and nothing happened. I did them twice and nothing happened. I did 3 times. But if you could reinforce it and keep on reinforcing it, within a year, you're doing it 4 times, and you're going to get it right. And also, I took out some things in which I felt like were tough for people to handle, and I changed around some of the I changed some of the principles. But a couple of things is like step 1 is admitting we're powerless and I'll let it become manageable. And the whole thing is that the core of that is surrender. But I think that surrender is really kind of like tough for people. But if you can identify and start with identifying the disease, identifying what it is, you're getting right to the core. And if you focus on identification, the very first step, you just focus on it. I am an alcoholic. I am this. And just think about it and how that unmanageability and powerlessness has affected your life and focus on identification of it. That's a big start. A lot of people is going in and like I'm talking to this person to work with or whatever, and he can't, the problem is that he doesn't want to surrender. People think surrender is like, throwing the white flag or whatever, and that's it, and they admit defeat. But your disease is powerful than that. Doesn't want to give up. But you have to identify these things, and that's what I think is so vital. and also, you know, I talked about before is like, you know, about the God thing. You know, people associate God with religion. I'm not going to mention God in Recover Wheel. You know, I think that God turns people's backs. You know, people hear God or whatever, and they bring their own personal experience with religion in it, and they
Yeah.
mix it up, and they don't want to face it. So I really feel that, you know, with leaving that out and making this couple of changes or whatever, I really feel that there's going to be more of identification and more association with the whole entire change process. And the beauty about it is that, and like I said before, which really makes things a lot more, you know, vital, is just the reinforcement of these principles and focusing on it every day. You know, it's every day we're focusing on it, and you're doing it 4 times instead of once. And
Yeah.
because you know what, the first time, the first cycle, you're going to do it, and it'll be kind of hard. The second cycle is going to be easier. The
Huh.
third cycle will make it a lot more easy. The fourth cycle,
Boom.
bam, you
Yeah.
should be able to really get that step work done. And it doesn't need to end with that, because also, and as you know, like every single thing is going to build into each other, so it's going to all feed into each other. So you know, you're not going to drop, you know, everything after each cycle's done. Is going to continue to feed each other, and that's what I see, like how the whole entire 13x4 works. Is that just because you did a principle a couple weeks ago doesn't mean that doesn't apply to you now. It's still going to be there, but you're focusing more on this weekly principle, you know. And that's what I really think that, you know, this can really like spearhead. I think that this can really increase decrease the relapse rate amongst people that are working it. And the whole thing is working it. And that's like I think that with having the app will really reinforce things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't agree with you more, Mark. I mean, I know why this approach works really well, but it's amazing that just in a few months you've realized how this can be applied to something that you are already an expert in, and just a delivery system for change, isn't it? Really, effectively, the wheel and the 1 week at a time, and then imagine just having a Mark Berger in your pocket, just always going, hey, you can do it, you know. This week we're just being vigilant. Oh, you know, this week we're just looking at our effect on others, you know. Hey, it's okay, you can do it just a little bit. Don't kill yourself, don't worry about it too much, just, you know, just a little bit. And guess what? You'll get another chance in a few weeks.
Right, that's the beauty about it, you know. You
Yeah.
don't have to worry about it. And that's
Yeah.
what the whole point is, because I see, you know, a lot of people, you know, it's doing like, you know, if we go, you know, we would jump to like week 4, right? Week 4, I call it the script. You know, the script is our addiction. The addiction dictates our script. You know, the script is basically things that, you know, pretty much are from your environment, from your parents or whatever. All those different things that make you do things that you choose not to do, whatever.
Hmm.
The acts out from the addiction. So the script basically is we're going to write an inventory about the script. We're going to write the script. We're going to expose the script and leave nothing behind. And the whole thing is that you don't have to, if you don't get it all right the first week, well, the second week you could work on it and do more. And then before you know it, by the time the fourth week, I guarantee you have written the script. You have
Yeah.
that script pretty much down packed. So
Yeah.
that's what I like about the reinforcement effect of it, and you know, continually focus on this. So I
So
really am
good.
excited about this. I really think this is definitely going to be a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Do you know what the stats are for successful recoverers of any of the current programs?
It's very low. I believe you're talking about maybe I would say, you know, 20%, if not less, people that, you know, go through the program
Mm.
actually, you know, for every 100, I'd say maybe there's 10 or 20 people that are there a year later, you know. And as you go, you know, through more years, that number decreases more and more. The
Hmm.
big point in recovery if you can make it past the first year, then the big milestone is 5 years, and then 10 years. You know, the numbers just get smaller and smaller, but the big push, and that's why this is beneficial, is the very first year. And
Okay.
this covers it.
So here's a question for you. What happens to those people? Do they not come back because they've sorted themselves, because they fixed it, because they're okay, or have they relapsed and they're drinking again? What do you know? Because some of them maybe they're cured, right, and they don't come back because they're cured.
No, you're not cured.
Okay.
But people may think they're cured, but you know the whole thing is that they go out and they start drinking, and the thing is that you know the script has such power over you. That's how come the 4th week is such a big week, you know, because like the whole thing is that like you know if I go back to week 3, just make a choice, right? So make a choice. Are you going to go with faith, or are you going to go with the addiction? And that's a choice that people have to make. So,
and the script will choose. The script will choose for them if they're not careful, won't it? That's
right.
The thing.
The script's going to choose for them, and you know the script doesn't want to come back.
No.
It doesn't want to come back because you have pride, you have an ego.
Yeah.
Oh, no, people come back, which is a good thing. People will come back, and they'll keep on coming back. But then they do, it's called the 2-step dance. They'll do the first step, second step, and around. Because you know the script chooses for them.
So if you had, so basically, if people had you in their pocket, right, and then you be able to just like pop up and send them live messages, because like one thing is the app will be able to just send the pre-programmed reminders and motivations, but the option would be like we do on the reasonable eating groups and the reasonable wealth and the architects groups on WhatsApp at the moment, right? You will be able to lead your people through it. What would you say their chances of success would be if they download the app and they get sort of magic from Mark sort of several times a day for the rest of their lives?
I would say the success rate would be definitely increased. I would say to, you know, probably 75 to 100% when recovery first came out. You know, when AA first came out, they had a 75% success rate.
Yeah.
Go figure, right? And also now you're talking about less than 20%.
Yeah, but you've got to be careful with stats, because if I measure people over a short enough time frame, then I've got 100% success in anything I do. Right, okay, everyone put your cigarettes down. Right, you've all stopped smoking. Right, no one smoked for that minute. That means everyone's 100% success. So I'm with you on that. But I also agree that probably early on, what a lot of people will have done is they'll have probably swapped their addiction for, say, drink, and they'll have swapped that addiction for, say, an addiction to a program, or an addiction to God, or an addiction to something else. And whilst that was going great, then fantastic. But I think without maybe getting into the script that's choosing for them, and it's not their fault, I think, and knowing, well, actually, hang on a sec, would you choose to be addicted? You know, I think you've got so much potential life-changing things to offer to people. It's really exciting.
Yeah, this is wonderful, and I you know with the app, it could be like a constant reminder. You know, each week there would be a reminder about, have you done your inventory?
Yeah.
Or what choices are you making?
Yeah.
Are you making a choice, or you're script choosing?
Yeah.
Each week you could have a different reminder for, you know, like I would say, you know, week 1. Well, you know, are you giving your power away?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I could see how this could, you know, help people to open their phone up and there's a message,
Yeah.
you know, give that reinforcement, and you want to make the person feel positive, so they'll continue to go back more for it. And because it's new, I think that, I mean, more and more people be open to it.
Yeah.
And if it be, you know,
it's continuously changing every week. It's kind of got a different focus, so you don't get the chance to really get bored of it.
right.
You don't get the chance really to say, oh, I know this, I know this, I know this. Yeah. I mean, it does happen, but it's much more forgiving to be able to change the focus every week, isn't it? As we've
I love it.
Yeah. Listen, we're going to wrap up now. Just helping people who are thinking about their own programs and what they can do. And how did you discern for yourself? It seemed like you didn't do any work to actually work out. It was just obvious for you that this was going to be your thing, right?
Right.
What advice would you give to people who are kind of watching this video? They're super keen to just do something. They've got their ideas, but you know, when it's this idea of finding the hardest problem that you feel you can solve, but you're also interested in solving, that you think you've got a solution for, what advice would you give for people just thinking about the things they might be able to offer that ultimately will bring greater life for all, which is what we're doing here, right?
Right, you know, that's what I'm saying, like greater life for all. And, you know, the whole thing also is that what is it that you are good at, feel natural with? What is it that comes that you know? Because the whole thing is that we all are an expert with something, you know, and it's just finding out what it is. And the whole thing is,
at least, yeah.
The script is going to say to you, you aren't. Who's going to listen to you? And the whole thing is that I think that what the biggest thing I could say is that, you know, what a lot of people are probably, you know, suffer with, because I have, and I can admit it that I have for a long time, is they listen to the script. And the script is like, what are people, like the big thing is I'd say is how am I going to make money? And also, who's going to listen to you?
Yeah.
Right? And you could put that aside from the script and say, listen, script or whatever, I'm good at this. And I don't care about making money. I just care about doing this because I'm good at it. And everything else will be fine. Don't worry. Because the script can be, you know, that type of thing is that type of thing in your head that when you have something and you believe in it, the script would be the first one to take it away. And also, you know, my wife told me this, is that don't freaking talk about it with people that are being negative. You know, just keep it, you know, with people that we will encourage you to do it. And, you know, keep your mouth shut. Just do it, you know. But the whole thing is that don't buy into the script of yourself or others that I can tell you that it's stupid or that you're, because people think that, or I could say, you know, if I'm good at it or whatever, you know, and you know, your script, oh, that's stupid. You know, don't listen to the script.
Yeah.
You know, just bypass the script whichever way you can, and just and the easiest thing to do, what you taught me, Tom, is just do it. just go into action, and then it. Yeah. I put this together, and it just came so natural to me. My script is sitting there criticizing every single thing I'm doing, but I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put it together and just do it. So just that's it.
You never get rid of the script. You just, when you hear the script, you know what it is, and you just do it anyway.
Right.
My script still talks to me. It tells me all sorts of stuff, and it's got vanishingly little power anymore because I just don't. I go, yeah, like I'm going to believe that. Good one, but it's still there. I think the interesting thing in life is you can never really stop the opportunity to be tempted into your script. You know, you'll see, you know, guys will go out, we think, you know, we've got a great relationship and we'll see some real hot chick or something. We can't avoid ever seeing hot chicks. If you're going to say, I'm only going to live in a place on a mountain where I never get to see a girl, right, that's how I'm going to avoid being tempted. Forget about it. They will always be there, but you don't have to respond to things in the same way. That's the thing. You will never escape, you know, alcohol being around. You will never escape other people kind of tempting you with unhealthy choices to eat or whatever. That will always, 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 always be there. You can't avoid that. But what you can do is you can notice when the script is saying, oh, go on, you know you want to, that'll be great, just have a little drink or whatever. When you notice the script, and I think that's the thing. A lot of people think that they're not cured because they still get tempted. They still go into their script. They think, oh, well, I know what to do. I've read lots of books. I've been on Tom's programs. I've spoken to Mark loads of times, and I shouldn't have any doubt now. I shouldn't have anything. No. You're in the world. You are a human in the human form. You're going to have doubt. You're going to have moments where you're despairing. You're going to have frustrations. You're going to have all sorts of failures. But the point is, you don't have to give any energy or any reinforcement to any of those things. Just notice that they're going to come at you all day and every day in something. But all you need to get good at is noticing them, spotting them, and just going, all right, okay. And I think people make the mistake of thinking they won't get tempted, don't they? And then when they are being tempted, they think, oh, I'm never going to be cured. I'm never going to be like Mark. I'm never going to be like Tom because I've still got these internal doubts. Look, so do we. So do we.
We're all the same in a way. We all have a script.
We're all human. Anyway, this is awesome. This is really good. So this is the first of the kind of step-by-step one-to-one sessions that I'm doing on people's own individual programs. And actually, you're quite advanced, so there'll be some people that I'm going to be talking to who really don't have a clue, and part of that will be finding out what their problem that they think they can solve is. And other people, like yourself, maybe you'll come back later on in a few weeks, Mark, and we'll be talking about maybe how to
what your
success from like 10% to 50% or 30%, you'd be a multi-millionaire. I mean, Alcoholics Anonymous and all the anonymous programs, they're a massive business. Now, they're not designed to make a lot of money, but and I don't know how they work exactly, but I tell you what, if you've got something which is more effective, if you've got a better solution than anything that anyone else has got that actually works better, then the money will come and chase you. And it's not about the money, but it's not about the money either. Money is the marker for having delivered value that other people appreciate. And if other people won't pay you for stuff, it's just that you're not valuable to them. You might think you're valuable, but you're not. So I think you're going to be valuable to a lot of people with this program. I can see it. Well, it's insane. If you can change the way people think with regards to addiction, you're onto something.
I'm very excited. I see how it is over here. The big thing here in South Florida, the big business, and where I live, is treatment centers and halfway houses. They are really doing extremely well. And I have a friend that owns treatment center and halfway houses himself, and I tell you, it just is ridiculous how much business he has, because they just keep on coming. And this basically is an aid so that people don't have to go to that expense, because treatment centers and halfway houses, they're a lot of money. I'm talking about $1,000 a month.
Yeah, they're expensive, and not only are they expensive, they're very high resistance. A lot of people are really resistant to that type of thing. What you've got here is a low resistance tool that people can get involved in without any kind of shame or any public thing, and just work on it themselves without really telling anybody. It's low resistance. It's a low floor, but they can extend it and they can get more and more mindful and more aware of their addictions and all that sort of stuff, and their ability to choose. There's no limit to how good they could get with this program, yet it's really easy to start.
Yes.
I like it, Mark. I like what you've done here, buddy. All right, well, listen, obviously we'll stay in touch on the groups and everything like that, but what you can do is make sure you get this video posted out to other people as well. This is recorded as a YouTube video, so if you watch this on YouTube, you can actually there's a link directly to that video, so you'll be able to post that on your own blogs and all that sort of stuff, and start getting the word out about the reasonable recovery.
Reasonable recovery online. Love it.
Fantastic. Love it. Cheers, buddy.
Thank
Keep
you.
doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Bye.